Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dylan James. I'm a mindset coach that loves to specifically focus on relationships. Today, we're going to be skipping the intro to my videos, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a story time on my own personal development and the work that I've done on my belief system. And it's my intention that sharing this with you guys and sharing some more of these personal experiences will give you something to relate to, maybe, or give yourself a different perspective on yourself and some of the experiences that you've gone through, and kind of learn from how I have viewed myself and how I've adjusted myself, and hopefully that can help you apply the same results in your life as well too. So today, it's so funny because I made a video last week where the beginning of the video I said you guys have to really detach from the old story and no longer identify with it and the experiences that you've gone through, and realize that you can be a brand new person, you can create brand new results in your life, and the previous experiences that you've had or the beliefs that you've held before really don't have to continue to create in your experience. And that's a choice, choosing to believe in yourself in a new way and detach from that story. And I also said in that video, when you're really attached to your old story, you're going to find yourself repeating it a lot, or focusing on your current circumstances and repeating them a lot too, and not really seeing how it can change, or why you're viewing it that way, or why you're so attached to it, right? So in that same breath, I also said, I don't really feel the need to share my old story. I'm aware of it. I'm aware of the things that have occurred to me, but I'm at a place now where it doesn't really hold any power over me. And like, I'm good. I can talk about it if I want to, but it's not really necessary. But I feel like opening up and sharing some more of the experiences that I've gone through, and how that imprinted beliefs onto me, and how that affected my adult life and my ability to create relationships, explain that to you guys can give you some perspective maybe on yourself and some of the experiences that you've gone through, and why you may be forming the awareness that you're forming, or finding yourself in certain circumstances or situations, or materializing specific behaviors that are contradicting to what you want to actually experience. So with that being said, I'm going to share some of the experiences that I've gone through previously in my childhood and things like that, and how that imprinted certain beliefs on me, and how that materialized going forward, and how I dealt with that, the awareness that I formed on it, and how I've detached from it, and now are able to create the results that I desire. Okay. So again, sit down, get comfortable. I'm just going to be talking to you like you're a friend today, and you get to hear a little bit about my life. Okay. So growing up, okay, um, my my mother ended up getting injured at a young age, and she, right after I was born, ended up tearing her meniscus. Okay, and she was training for a job and ended up continuing to proceed forward with her training, running on her torn meniscus, and this obviously created a lot of complications. Once she had realized how bad the injury was, it was already a little too late. So the first doctor that ended up performing a surgery on her to correct it ended up messing up. So throughout my entire childhood, she had probably 12 surgeries, maybe more, maybe 15. So pretty much every single year of my life, she was in the hospital, getting a corrective surgery for the torn meniscus. Okay, so that's number one. Okay, so from my young adult life, I had a caregiver that was inconsistently in my life. Okay. Number two, my father ended up having a job that was very demanding, and he was also in the military. So he was constantly, at a very young age, in and out of my life. So that was the second thing. Okay. My brother and sister were half brother and half sister. So they had another father that they would go and stay with. So they were inconsistent in my life as well, too, at a young age. So the reason why I'm explaining all these things is because one thing that I've come to realize, and this is not even just a manifestational perspective, but through your development years, you don't really have the rationality or the subjective adult mind to realize, like, the things that are going on around you really have nothing to do with you, right? So if my mom could have been home with me, she totally would have been home with me, and she would obviously not be injured. If my father could have been home with me, he totally could have been. And my brother and sister, if they had the same father, they would have been there for me as well too. But what this did for me as a child, through my development years, gave me a few beliefs about myself that really did not serve me that great later on in life. Okay. So let me explain what I mean by that. Okay. When you have a parental figure like my mother going away for surgery so consistently throughout my life, as a child, what that showed me was that the people that I love or the people that are in my life are not going to consistently be there. Like they're going to be leaving or they're going to be in and out of my life. And therefore, I can't really trust that I'm going to have that loving, supportive consistency in my life. Same thing with my father consistently working. It wasn't necessarily that he was a bad person that couldn't be there for me, but as a child, I didn't have that rationality to understand that these people, they're adults, they have their life, they have things that are going on. And so that became internalized within me, right? So the people that I love are inconsistent in my life. It's hard to trust that they're going to be consistently here. The world is kind of unsafe. They're getting harmed. I don't really understand what's going on. So I had already right off the bat formed an awareness about relationships or people in my life that they're inconsistent and that I can't trust that they're going to be consistently in my life. Right. Then with my brother and sister, being half brother and half sister and going away to their father's house consistently, that bond that I formed with them and was also diminished as well too. So another area where the people that I get close to are taken away from me. Okay. This is really, really important because how this materialized as an adult going into relationships did not work that great for me until I adjusted it. Okay. So just kind of looking back on those experiences with myself and my brother and my sister, which they also didn't have like the best household to go to. So I always felt very protective of them and I always felt like, oh, I need to save them. I felt like they were in danger. So, again, another belief where the people that I love are in danger or they're leaving my life or I can't trust that they're going to be consistent in my life. That ingrained within me that trusting people is difficult. Okay. So, in friendships, throughout my adolescent years, because I had these experiences, I formed an awareness that making friends was difficult for me, or I had the experience that making friends was difficult for me because at some core level I trusted or I didn't trust that they would be consistent in my life. Okay. And that also materialized in a whole bunch of other ways where I almost made it difficult to be my friend because how I was showing up was coming off cold. And it created a whole narrative of either people don't like me, they don't want to be friends with me, or people are not going to be consistent in my life. So I would only make a few friends at a time, and I would get close to those people that I felt like I could trust. But overall, I had a pretty big block in my belief system in regards to being able to be friends with people because at some core level, I didn't trust that they were going to be consistently in my life. Okay. From the other aspect of relationships and love, because I had this experience with my parents growing up, receiving consistent love and knowing my worth and value. And also because as a kid, I'm pretty sure I took on the blame for them not being there. Like I'm not good enough. That's why they're not around. I'm not like I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. Like they're not going to be a consistent thing in my life. That made me feel unsafe in relationships or always feeling like love and these things are not going to be consistent in my life. All right. So this was very, very, very important for me to understand. Not that I'm going to dwell on it here or say that you need to go on a whole healing journey, but what actually happens is as you shift your beliefs and you become aware of these things, you naturally heal as you integrate new beliefs. But as an adult going into relationships, because I had these experiences, what I would begin to notice was, and you guys have heard me talk about this on my channel before, if I started to like somebody and it was going really, really well, I would all of a sudden at some point get triggered, right? And looking back, I can very clearly, evidently see that even if the person wasn't doing something bad, my perception was automatically gauged because I held these beliefs that people are not consistent in my life. Love is not, I can't trust love. I don't know my worth and my value. It's unsafe. People are constantly leaving. Even if somebody did something remotely, like it could be very innocent, the way that I perceived it and the way that I responded to it and the way that I reacted to it was through I can't trust that you're going to be consistent in my life. I don't believe that I'm going to receive consistent love. I don't know my value, my worth. And I would find myself grasping or trying to prove or chase after somebody to make them love me. Okay. Because of those experiences growing up, I didn't view love as a normal, consistent thing, that people were trustworthy, that receiving consistent love was a normal experience for myself. I didn't really know my worth or my value. And I would typically find myself feeling unsafe in relationships. Okay. Becoming aware of this was really, really instrumental for me to be able to create the results that I desire in my life. Okay. This is why working on your beliefs is really, really, really important, because it didn't really matter who assumed the role of a relationship for me. I would find myself recreating the same pattern with them or with anybody else that I would find myself romantically interested in. So essentially, I didn't ever really see the person. Okay. I would see what I believe about myself in terms of my value and my worth, which was not that great. Okay. And then I would see whatever I believed about relationships. And that is what everybody as you pushed out really, in my opinion, means is you're not really seeing the people or the things that are going on. You're seeing what you believe about yourself and what you believe about that specific area of your life. Okay. When I became aware of this years ago, that is when I realized the importance of self image and self concept. Because the way that I was viewing the people in my reality, no matter what they were doing, my mind was automatically searching for and wanting to create a story that they're going to leave. They're not going to be consistent. You can't trust them. What they're doing is, they're not trustworthy, or like you're in danger, you're unsafe. And obviously that's going to create a lot of problems. Obviously, that materialized in me over analyzing, hyper focusing, obsessing, needing, chasing, feeling intrinsically not good enough as I was, and almost waiting for somebody to show up and choose me and love me, make me feel good enough, right? In terms of being able to create a sustainable relationship, all of those behaviors and way of operating is obviously not going to work. Okay. So I had to become very, very honest with myself about what I believe about myself. Okay. I didn't need to necessarily figure out everything that occurred to me. And you really don't have to do that. I've tried to simplify it on my channel in the sense of you want to place your focus more on who you're going to become or what the beliefs are that you would have if you had what you desired. But I did have an awareness about the things that I knew I struggled with, okay, in terms of shifting my beliefs. So trusting that people are consistent, trusting that receiving love is a consistent, normal experience in my life, that I am worthy, that I am valuable, that I am deserving, that I am good enough, that I'm beautiful and wanted and desired and desirable, that I'm interesting, that people really love me, that people are safe to be around, that relationships are safe, that love comes from within me, and that I'm always able to create the experience that I desire. When I actually shifted these beliefs within myself, what occurred is how I was naturally assuming and contextualizing my reality, the dominant expectations that I held naturally changed. Okay. So, just how your mind works, the core beliefs that you hold about yourself or any specific area of your life is going to translate into the thoughts and the behaviors that you're materializing. The assumptions and the rules that you set forth for yourself are above your core beliefs. So when I actually addressed those beliefs within myself, I naturally started to view my reality differently. I started, and you can kind of rationalize this and logic it to yourself. If I believe that I'm good enough, if I believe that I'm worthy, if I believe that love is a normal, consistent thing in my life, then would I really find myself viewing this person this way? Would I really be worried? Would I really be anxious? Would I really feel like I'm waiting, or would I really have this need to consistently check to make sure that they're not going anywhere, right? And so you really want to become very aware of how you're operating, especially in specific areas of your life, because, you know, in terms of a relationship and being able to create the results that you desire, you shouldn't be in a constant state of panic or fear or constantly checking or feeling like you're waiting for something. Okay. I know from my own personal previous experiences that if I ever put somebody on a pedestal or I felt like I needed to do the most to be with them, I needed to make them love me, I needed to check and see when are they texting me or what are they doing, or all of these things that I was doing, it was coming from that version of me that didn't trust and believe that people were consistent, or the version of me that didn't feel lovable or wanted or desired or desirable. And because I didn't feel that way about myself, I was hyper focusing on somebody outside of me, creating a story in my mind, essentially, that they didn't love me. And I was trying to chase after them to try and get them to love me, when in reality, that wasn't even the situation that was going on. It was just a program that I held from my childhood. And consequently, because I operated that way, I would create those experiences for myself regardless of who was there, because obviously, if you're acting that way and assuming and believing about those things in your reality, it's going to change how you're showing up, and it's going to change the quality of the connection and the interaction that you have with somebody. So, how I view it now, and with a lot of the people that I work with, or a lot of the people that stumble onto my content, what typically happens when you first start liking somebody or you're in the formative stages of a relationship is it's so brand new that you haven't formed an attachment with somebody to where those things get triggered. So you just get to enjoy their presence. It's like a fun new experience for you. You're not super attached. Like, yeah, they're super cute. Oh my gosh, they're so fun to talk to. And then as you get to know them more, those deeper beliefs that you hold about yourself and those deeper beliefs that you hold about relationships really start triggering you and skewing your perception to the point where you start hyper focusing on every little thing that they're doing, trying to figure out what they mean or why they're showing up in certain ways, and you lose that whole fun aspect to it because the actual beliefs you hold about yourself and that area of your life start to get triggered. And this is a very sudden change, and this is why you will see something going really well automatically switch into being really cold out of nowhere, because you will start to unconsciously materialize behaviors that you don't even see in yourself that start getting reflected back to you. And in my opinion, this is what it means when you hear somebody like Neville Goddard say, your self concept creates the world in which you live. People are just mirrors to your self concept. I did a session with somebody yesterday where I related this to like a job environment. When somebody goes into an interview and you can tell they're insecure, it shows up in their body language. They're not looking you straight in the eye. They're not able to answer the question clearly. And it's very evident. Is that person trying to be insecure, or do they just hold a belief that is materializing in their self-concept? And now you are mirroring that back to them, right? You can see it and you're responding to how they're showing up. So in that instance, typically if somebody doesn't get the job because they're insecure, they'll point the blame and they'll say, well, they were really hard. The interview was really hard. I didn't really like them anyways. And they will evade taking ownership for how they showed up, or maybe they don't even recognize it and see it in themselves. So typically what happens, to get back to the point that I was saying, is in the formative stages of a relationship, you're feeling good. And all of a sudden these things will start to get unconsciously triggered in you. And the way you're going to know is that the way you're viewing the person, the thoughts that you're dominantly thinking are more negatively skewed. You're feeling a bit more uneasy. You're more triggered. You're doubtful. You're fearful. You're wanting to chase. You're really needing, right? And you will start to unconsciously show up in a way that shows this. So the way that you're interacting with the person, the body language that you assume, the way you're even responding to them, there starts to have a discord that starts to show up, and that person picks up on it. They feel it and they can see it. Okay. And that is where it gets mirrored back to you. Okay. So if you can become aware of this, what you really want to do, yes, thinking about somebody in a new way is important. So persisting in that knowing of, yeah, they're totally interested in me. They want me, they like me, they're into me and only me. Those are all great things, because you do need to know that, yeah, the person that you're interested in is interested in you. But you also want to have the level of awareness to see, why is it that when I get into a relationship or when I get into these situations in my life, I find that the quality of the thought and the way that I'm feeling and behaving and moving about my reality suddenly changes to where I really desperately feel like I need this person, or I feel like I'm obsessing over them, or I'm not enjoying my life anymore. I'm constantly in a worried panic state and I'm placing them on a pedestal. You really want to see, what is that saying about the beliefs I hold about myself in this area of my life? Because for me, the way that I broke this pattern within myself was to really address those beliefs that love is a normal, consistent thing in my life, that people are trustworthy, that love is safe and secure to be in, that receiving consistent love is a normal thing. I know my worth and my value. I'm very confident with who I am. I'm always able to create the results that I desire. Whoever I'm with wants to be with me. I can trust. I'm always feeling safe and secure within myself. Once I changed those beliefs within myself, being in a relationship and being able to sustain a relationship the way that I desired became a lot easier, because it cut out a lot of those unnecessary worry, doubts, or fears, where I would hyper focus and then create narratives in my mind to reinforce whatever fears that I had surrounding that area. Okay. And when you begin to operate that way, when you begin to relax and you can just know, yeah, you know what, everything's going to be fine. They're totally interested in me. I don't need to worry about that. I'm going to persist in this knowing, and you can enjoy your life. You're going to find that relationships were never really meant to relationships were not meant to be the center of your world, or like love was never supposed to be something outside of you that was coming from somebody else. It's something that's created within you. And when you can create love and happiness within yourself and couple that with these really beautiful beliefs about yourself, you're going to be able to persist in an awareness of your reality that feels very natural, right? I know my value, my worth. I know I am amazing. I know relationships are a normal, consistent thing in my life. I believe that. Therefore, I know this person is going to be a consistent thing in my life. And I don't need to worry about that. And I don't need to check on them. And I don't need to prove that. I don't need to overgive or do a lot to get their attention. I know that about myself. And because I believe that about myself and identify that way, I'm going to show up in a way that is so attractive and easy and enjoyable to be around that it's going to just create that experience within itself, because how you're showing up, the behaviors that you're materializing really are a manifestation of the beliefs that you hold about yourself or the beliefs that you hold about different areas of your life. So when you can get these beliefs aligned, you're going to naturally show up in a way that creates that experience. Okay. So the reason why I'm sharing this too is because it doesn't really matter what the personal experiences are that you've gone through. I've left out a lot of details too. There were quite a few things that happened to me in my childhood that were not that pleasant. But I don't really feel the need to repeat that story. I just think that, anybody that's out there that's struggling with relationships or struggling with their identity or the beliefs that they hold about themselves or being able to create the results that they desire in their life, if listening to me and seeing how I've been able to come about my life experience with a new awareness and then implement things that shifted me to being able to create the results that I desire. If I can do that, you can do it too. And it really starts with you becoming aware of the beliefs you hold about yourself and being disciplined with stabilizing your nervous system, realizing when you're triggered, realizing when your perceptions are getting altered, monitoring the behaviors and the way that you're responding to your reality, and then deciding what you want and reinforcing the beliefs about yourself in that area of your life so that you can create that desire. And if you can get consistent with that, consistent with it, you're like really honestly fighting for your new self. Okay. Like I had to wake up every single day and I still do. Who am I choosing to be? What am I believing? How am I feeling? What can I do today to feel better? Okay, let me stabilize I'm noticing I'm a little bit more triggered. I'm noticing my perceptions getting a little bit altered. Okay, let me sit down and make sure that I do some breath work for my nervous system and reaffirm these beliefs. Let me remind myself who I am. And through that consistency, honestly, the belief tracks really, really help me. Okay, so much. The nightly belief tracks really help me so much. Okay, you don't have to use the ones that are on my channel. You can create your own. And I know I've been talking about that recently, but I don't want people to overlook that, because if you can couple a belief track that really addresses your beliefs, and then each day you can do some breath work and really monitor how you're viewing your reality and the perception that you're forming, if you can really build up a beautiful self concept and self image for yourself, a really healthy belief system, and then persist in the knowing about what you want to experience and knowing that you can achieve it, and having these statements where you're knowing something into being, you're going to be able to create the results that you desire. Even if you can't believe in manifesting from a purely behavioral standpoint, your beliefs are creating how you're showing up in your reality and responding to it. So be consistent with yourself, because you don't have to continue to recreate the same results in your life. It can change. You can create results in your life that are desirable, and you're worthy of that, and you're deserving of that. You're deserving of a loving relationship. You're deserving of abundant finances. You're deserving of career success in whatever fashion that looks like for you. You're deserving of academic success or scholarly success or whatever it may be. Okay. You just want to be aware of, well, if I'm not achieving this, why? What am I doubting within myself? Why do I have these worries? What is getting in the way of me being able to create this result? Because I'm going to tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, most of the time, it's going to be what you believe about yourself and the internal dialogue that you hold about that area of your life and the beliefs that you hold about that area of your life. Because if you really genuinely believe, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's a normal, consistent thing for me. I'm totally worthy. I'm totally deserving. I am successful. I'm worthy of success. I trust. I believe. Then you should be able to show up in a way where you naturally put yourself in the position to create that experience, and it becomes a normalized thing for you. And if that's not the case, then take some time to really understand yourself and implement some things so that can become a normal, consistent thing for you. Okay. All right. So that's all I have to say today. You guys get to know a little bit more about me. Again, you don't have to hold on to any story. You can choose to be the change today, and you can create the life that you love. But just be disciplined and be patient and kind to yourself and realize that it really is about nothing like changing nobody but yourself and how you identify yourself in the world and what you believe and feel is true about you in these areas of your life. When you make that change, you're going within yourself, your external reality is going to reflect that back to you. Okay. So love yourself, be consistent with yourself, be patient with yourself, and just persist. Okay. Alrighty. I love you all so much. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all later. Bye.